welcome your faces to the selection table. There is 3 of us tonight. Oh, look at this. Just as I was doing the intro.
Here we go.
Hey!
We're here. We haven't done one of these consecutively for what feels like a lifetime. We are back-to-back losses. So we really need to get this selection right. I will say that if you pick the team we picked last week, probably won. But alas, Voss doesn't use this show as the metric. But joining me as always in a car, just replicating a bit of Bucky, the sultry voice that you'll hear on SEN, Mr. Paolo Sebastiani. Paul, how are you doing?
Good evening, Pommy. I'm well. Hello to the listeners in the audience. Hello to Ian. Hope we're all doing well. And I think the axe has been well and truly sharpened for this week.
Well, I mean, some of us have gone bold, some have gone conservative, and some have just myriaded into it. Just took the feet in the water, but not too much. And joining us as always, the man who's always happy, probably the happiest man in the world, but the one who slashes the most players every week, which might be the passive aggression. Mr. Ian Brownie from the Navy Blue Corner. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, doing very well, Pommy. Happy to be here. I tell you what, I was not very happy on the weekend. If anyone was following me on Twitter, I was not enjoying any second of that contest against the Dogs. But another week, go again, and that's what we're here to do.
Mate, you've just got to keep on keeping on, haven't you? Do excuse the cat's tail as the cat leaves me. But it was a tough week. I mean, let's quickly talk about last week. Probably the biggest one who we brought back into the team was George Hewitt. Paul, I'll start with you because we do love a bit of George, old Rodri.
Yeah.
What's going on there? Like, what do you think it is? Do you think it's Voss trying something?
I hope it's him trying something. I really hope it's him trying something because as soon as he's come out of the team, we've started to leak like a sieve. We've looked shocking in the midfield since he's come out. Shocking.
Do you reckon he might have done the pasta? And I know you Italians hate it. Did he break the pasta? And Voss is like, fuck this, 4 weeks, mate. 4 weeks.
Yeah, he's snapped the spaghetti. He's put cream cheese in the carbonara. He's used bacon instead of guanciale. Oh mate, he's gone for one of those. He's gone for the Curtis Stones $10 feed your family of 4 people. That's what he's gone for. Oh mate, seriously. Honestly. Anyway,
I did cop a bit of hate from your Italian companions for describing a cannoli live on stream as a sausage roll filled with custard.
No. Oh no. They look similar, but I can tell you they taste very different. And that's pretty much, I think that's the case of our team at the moment. It looks similar, but it tastes very different.
Yeah. At the moment, we're playing like Pom's description of a cannoli. Ian, and chat, you let me know. What do you think it is with you? Do you think it's something, like I say, is it something simple? He's just trying something. Is it a rest or has Voss lost his mind?
Oh, it's so hard to know. I mean, I really wish that someone after any game in the sort of press conference room could ask a question that people actually want to know the answers to. It feels like it's the most softball thing ever. Like whenever there was a week to ask so many in-depth, valid questions to get something out of Vossi, 2 losses in a row, so much going wrong, just nothing. Absolutely no in-depth questions. And I think as far as Hewitt, it's such an interesting thing with this midfield and trying to get it right. We've now obviously got Chera available, and I think we can all agree and assume that at his best, he's in that clearly. He's got enough that we don't have as far as some of the other midfielders do with just class with ball in hand. And it's something we kind of have missed when he hasn't been there. However, we lose so much when Hewitt's not in the team with just cleanliness of picking the ball up in the first place and putting on those blocks and allowing guys like Chera to actually flourish. And when looking at why he's not there, I think originally when he was sort of the sub against Richmond was the first time he was really out of the team. I could maybe understand it and thinking, is Voss's vision, it's one of Kennedy or Hewitt. And when we were going with the one ruck, they were keeping Kennedy in the team because maybe you need that with the extra ruck, having him and Cripper actually taking the duties along with Harry. I could understand that theory. Then when you're bringing Pito in as well, and with Chera getting more time, Kennedy isn't playing a lot of midfield. I just thought it was a bit bizarre that we're not seeing someone like George Hewitt out there, who's arguably been our second best midfielder all season.
Sometimes the best thing to do is lie to yourself. I just thought it was like, the back injury that he used to have, and they were just managing his minutes. But then this week, Voss for banter played Kennedy off the bench, and there was none of them. So it's an interesting one. As for the questions you ask, I was genuinely upset in the press conference. They didn't miss an opportunity when Voss looked very biscuit-arsed and pissed off to just try and lift the mood like they did when Paul was doing the interviews the other week, when that guy in front of him asked, "Hey, Cripps, what are your thoughts on players doing fat lines?"
No.
Oh my God, honestly, seriously. Well, Bossy has a press conference on Friday that I'll be attending. So if anyone has any questions, actual football, tactical selection related questions, send them through here or let us know. So
I genuinely
I'll do my
wanted to
very
ask him
best
about the drugs policy for banter, please.
Where did that come from, by the way? Was it?
I don't know,
Anyway,
but can you ask it, please, just for the laughs? Actually, for me and this chat, ask him, how would he describe a cannoli to an English person?
I might bring some for him on the Friday morning.
Well, Paul, you've gone bold. We love a debut. We love a debut round here. Talk to us.
Yeah. I just got the axe out and I've just bashed down the door like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. And I've just said, "Here's Cooper."
Did you go, Vossi? Give me the Hewitt. Give me the Hewitt.
Yeah, I've gone hard here, right? And you know what? I was actually tempted to drop Chera as well, but I thought, no, he's a little bit. Well, I say he's probably too good for the VFL, but gee whiz. Motlop in for Williams, Cunningham in for Cottrell, Cooper Lord in and George Hewitt in, out Marchbank, Cottrell, Pitternet and Williams. I was happy to go with one less tall down in the back line, even if McGovern wasn't fit, because the only real tall that they've got up there is Nick Larkey, and I think Jacob Wiedering can take care of him. So was happy to go with one less tall defender and leave it to Wiedering and Kemp. And yeah, I think Cooper Lord's been, and an article came out today about him. I think he's been really, really solid in the reserves, and our midfield needs a different look. Needs a different look at the moment because it's not firing. It's really, really not firing. So happy to have the young man debut against the North Melbourne team we should be beating.
His old team as well.
Absolutely. Makes sense.
Yeah. You know, Paul sent me this, right? And because Paul works in the media, you can't fully trust he doesn't have some intel, right? And he sent me this, and 3 seconds later, the club posted the Cooper Lord article, right? And that is the number one conspiracy. If there is an article about a random fucking player, something's happening with that player. And I was like, hang about, as Paul just fucking totally blown the lid off the biggest selection call. But I have a question about your team, right? And it's about George Hewitt. And this is for you.
Okay.
Ian,
right.
Ian, jump in, chat, answer it for me. Do you think that, obviously, I think it's fair to say that Voss isn't quite sure. Is it Kennedy Hewitt? Is it Kennedy Hewitt Pitternet? Is it Kennedy? Yep. Is it Hewitt? Right? And you could make an argument that all three of them have great strengths, but their biggest weakness is fucking astronomical, right? It's really glaring. Yeah. Cooper Lord, in his only short time at Carlton, looks like he's got the attacking flair of Kennedy. He's got the body of Hewitt, the defensive, but he's also got that pace, which none of them three have. Do you think a big thing here could Cooper Lord be the answer?
Could very well be. Why not? He's in the team. Why did they draft him? And we've seen what we've been able to do with these mid-season draft picks. His form at VFL level's been really strong. It's form down in the reserves with which, if they were to actually pick him, you could actually bank in. I think, the expectation's not going to be absolutely astronomical, but his form down in the resis has been really strong, man. I really like what I've seen from him. No reason. If he was a senior player that had been drafted naturally through the AFL National Draft as a regular pick, there'd be a lot of people calling for him to play. But I think there's just this bit of skepticism because of where he's been drafted. He's a mid-year draft pick, so there's a little bit of there's always that element of doubt. But I like what I've seen from him. Speaking to a few people, they've been really, really pleased with his ability to sponge and learn and his work ethic and his attitude. And I'll tell you what, one thing that we can't doubt with him is his ability to lock in and have those high intensity levels, which we didn't really see from some of our players on the weekend. So yeah, and he lives up to those principles, contest and pressure. So why not?
You know, my bold call was he reminds me a bit of Jai Newcomb.
Yeah, not the worst call. Not the worst call.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he came from fucking nowhere, and he's gone into an AFL system, and suddenly all these layers he didn't have appeared overnight. So not getting excited too early, but he has added a lot of layers. Ian, your call, Cooper Lord, is he the man?
I mean, I'm similar to Paolo. I mean, he definitely could be. I loved the idea of him when we brought him in the mid-season draft because, like Paolo's talked about, he has that workhorse ethic that Vossi and everyone around the team that are building this list seem to love, and it works with the ethos of what's happening. And honestly, right now, when you look at who is out there in the team that the Paolo's picked, apart from that, we don't have many other midfielders coming through. It's Jack Carroll is the depth still. We don't know if he's going to become that player. Apart from that, there's absolutely no one. And I don't want to go, catastrophizing things. That's not what I'm attempting to do. But George Hewitt's 29 at the end of this year. Patrick Cripps is 29. Kennedy's 27.
Correct.
There's obviously still got plenty of football left for those guys, but you need to be bringing in the next few to learn off these guys while they're still at their peak and can teach you something. But then as soon as George Hewitt retires in 3 or so years, we've got a prime Lord to come straight in. So I think it's a great idea, and we don't have that, I guess, other inside midfielder, if that's what we want to build from. We don't have a guy to replace either three of those because that's not the Jack Carroll. So whether it's, this week or next year that he really takes that step, it doesn't matter for me. It's all about the next 5 or so years at least. And I think that it's a very smart pickup.
Yeah. And I think if you look at, and this is just always naturally the case, if you look at a depth chart of a sporting team, you want those layers of the elder statesman, the guy at the peak, and the guy who is up and coming and only just starting his career, and he fits that mold perfectly. In a defensive midfield role, you don't really want to be giving up, high draft picks for players like that, this is where the whole, and I think this segues beautifully onto Adam Chera. I don't understand what they've got him doing. So he and people, people say, but he's, we've given up the pick already, and we've given up a very high draft pick for him, right? We've given up a decent chunk of the salary cap for him, and he just seems to be in this locked down. This is your role. This is it. This is all your. It just doesn't seem. He doesn't. Players like that should have freedom, right? Players like that should have that ball winning and that ethos given to them by their coach to say, mate, you're our man. You go do what you need to do, right? He hasn't. I don't know. I have him as sub this week because I'd like to bring Cooper Lord in. I'd like to bring George Hewitt in, and then you have that option to say, okay, well, maybe we've played one too many bulky midfielders, not quite working at the moment. Cooper Lord's having a bit of a quiet one. It's his first game of AFL. Adam Cherry, in you go.
I love it.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I mean, Would you say, Paul and Chat and Ian, would you say that, do you find that at the moment, without the risk of repeating my video the other day, and bevtone, thank you very much for the 5 gifted. Make sure you thank bevtone in the chat. You are a gentleman and a scholar. Do you think that Voss has got an abundance of riches at the moment and he's trying to wedge them all in when it's as simple as playing Hewitt and just heavily rotate Sherratt and Walsh in space?
Maybe, yeah. I think that's the case. I just think they've when you're fit and your whole midfield's fit and you can only fit X amount in, someone's just going to be unlucky. And you know what? Bad luck. Stiff shit. Stop trying to fit in just because he's good or he's got a lot of talent. At the end of the day, you each have defined roles that if you're the star, you're the ball winner, you're the guy who's going to win us a game. That's you. And if someone who's in the team or in the squad is that type of player as well, but can't fit in, well, he doesn't play. It's as simple as that. So this defensive midfield role, I don't know, probably you attest to this as well. Cerra's defensive numbers are solid enough, right? And that's an area and facet of his game that is a little bit undersold, right? But I'll tell you what, just from a pure output point of view, George Hewitt's had a better season. Just looking at pure numbers, right? Pure numbers, pure statistical analysis. And at the moment, I'm looking at players, and I'm even stripping the layers further back, right? So I'm getting rid of all the tactics and I'm just looking at who do I trust more when that ball hits the deck and when that ball hits a contest? Who do I trust more at the moment? I trust George Hewitt more at the moment than Adam Cerra. Because every time I saw Adam Cerra get the ball on the weekend and he was put under a bit of heat, and Ian, you mentioned he's classy, mate, he fucking fumbled the ball every bloody time.
It was bad. It was bad.
So is he classy? And this is why Pommy loses his shit when we say this word. Because when you get put under pressure and you fumble the ball, you're not classy, are you?
No.
I mean, that word is it's the biggest load of hogwash you'll ever hear, mate. Honestly.
Mate, you have no
I'm
idea.
revved up now. I can't, seriously. I'm revved up. I can't do him at the moment. I can't do it.
You have no idea how many hours a week I have tried to find what stat equals class. Like I have tried to find some class algorithm, but Paul,
he's also, I think, with Adam Cerra, right? Sorry, I think he's also been done a disservice by the coaches. I'll also add that in as well. So that I'll leave it at that.
No, but Paul, I agree with you. Do you feel like, and I'm glad Aiden and Zach, my soccer heads, are in chat. Do you feel though like we're comparing Cerra and Hewitt, but that's like saying Phil Foden and Rodri, and you drop Rodri and you play Phil Foden there.
This is what I'm saying. Exactly.
You think for me, Cerra, and I always say this about Walsh, the best you've ever seen Cerra is half-back, 20 minutes a half in the midfield at Fremantle. And that's why we bought him, right? And then you look at Walsh, and everyone goes, can't play him on the wing. He's an on-baller. But his best Brownlow year was 65% on the wing, the rest on the ball. And it's like now we're asking both of them to play full-time in the midfield, and I think they get in the way.
It could very well be the case. For me, Cerra is... To me, Cerra should be a bit more of a fluid player. Let the man go. I don't like him... in the role he's playing at the moment, I don't think we're getting the best out of him. So there needs to be some sort of switch there to just free him up a little bit. So... That's how I see it. I've always seen him as a finisher at the end of a chain, rather than being the guy to stop a chain from happening with regards to opposition, and being the creator or the first link in the chain at the moment. So I know you can play that role to a point, but for me, I'd prefer to see him on the end of chains and being that link further down the chain as a pure finisher. Because ball in hand, as a kick, is a very nice kick. We know that, but. The other player who he just cannot play this week, Matthew Cottrell, he's just out of form. He can't play. And this goes away from, again, this is just me stripping everything back. I'm not looking at numbers, not looking at it. Did anyone see the first contest he attended on the weekend? It was early in the game, right? It was a 50-50 ball. One player was coming another way. He was coming the other way, and he was half-assed. He was just half-assed all day when he should have provided overlap for Ollie Hollands late in the game when Ollie got run down. He's 5 metres behind him doing the seal clap, calling for the bloody handball, mate. Get on your bike. Get on your bike. His last 2 weeks have been terrible. Shocking, mate. And it's enough. It's enough. Enough of us being, and I know we're second, and I understand it, but the time for being nice and letting them off the hook, it's done, mate. Because we've got 6 weeks to figure this out. Yeah, 6 weeks to figure out what we're going to do to win a premiership, right? And 5 disposals and a lack of intensity at the contest, right? And a lack of care and a lack of willingness and selflessness to actually be there for your teammates and actually have some pride in your own performance. So stuff the numbers. I don't care about him running 15 kilometres, right? This is where I'm stripping it all back. The basic premise of the game is when it's your turn to go, you got to go, mate. And he hasn't for the last 2 weeks. He has to be dropped. He has to be dropped. And it's not a case of, he'll be better for the run. Yeah, okay, be better for the run in the twos. Go get your fitness up in the twos.
Yeah, you know what though? I will defend Mr. Matt Cottrell. I haven't seen such a running performance like that since Joseph Keita beat Moses Kiptanui in the Atlanta Olympics 3,000 meter steeplechase. I've got to be honest. I do the ratings algorithm, and I always try and find one positive, one negative, and when I saw 15Ks, I had to check 8 different avenues and mediums to check because I was like, I can't even remember seeing him on my screen. Ollie, Ollie, when he has like 6 touches, I remember seeing him everywhere. But honestly, I couldn't remember seeing him in the game. The
K's run always, it's an interesting stat because I don't know. Obviously, it's good that you've been able to cover that ground, but I always go back to the thing of, well, if you're running that much, does that mean you're in the wrong spot half the time? Because you're continually moving too much to make up for what's going wrong. And when you're not affecting the contest with running that much, it's clearly an issue. And I really do like the team. I think one question that I would have is just do you have a bit more of a defensive rotation to cover, I guess, a Marchbank going out? There's plenty of players that can, I guess, play that back half role, but is that where you see maybe a Chincotta sliding into defence? What are you looking at to have that defensive 7th?
Yeah, I think so. Look, for me at the moment, I'm actually happy not even to have 7, to be quite frank. I mean, I just looked at North Melbourne's forward line and I thought, wow, God, I mean, if we can't have a defensive 6 and have Wiedering take care of Larky and then have Cowan, Sard, Kemp, Newman, Boyd take care of the rest and then have to rely on someone else. Akers can play a defensive role. We know that. He's good at playing that defensive wing role. And that's how I saw it. So this is as attacking as we could possibly go with some defensive coverage in there as well from a midfield perspective too. So this is just a very aggressive move, I think, because I think that's what we need. We were too down on the weekend, just with mindset.
Love it, mate.
And Motlop comes in for Williams.
Paul's team, I love it. He's made 4 changes.
And that's that. And the one player I will save, because I do have to make a wriggle. I have to wriggle on. I'm going to save Cooper Lord.
Oof.
There you go.
Love that.
Can I do that before I go?
Absolutely.
I'll add it now on the extent.
There's no insight. I don't have any. I've been told he's a good kid. He's training really well. He's playing really well, and they're very, very pleased with him. So, go read that article as well on the Carlton website if you haven't. It just gives you a good insight into what the young man's like. So,
Paul, we love you, mate.
Love you and leave you. Shall do. Much love.
Gotcha.
Good luck, Robin.
Guys. I shall. No worries. I'll give you the treasure.
mate, once you finish robbing, get him to drive you down the servo to pick up some darts.
I'll get the butter knife out too. See you guys. Go Blues. Hear it.
So Ian's made changes. He's the first time he hasn't
gone
killed
quiet,
everyone,
mate. This is very dull changes for me, considering second loss, first time we've lost back to back this year. But yeah, I mean, I've gone very similar to Paolo, and I think the reasonings are all pretty simple. Williams not fit, so Motlop gets his chance to swing into that role, adding more to someone that can actually hit the scoreboard. And if we need him to, like he has in the VFL, he can push up higher, play as almost a bit of an extra around the stoppages, go with that high half forward rotation. But I'm more looking at him playing deeper and being that goal scoring option. And then, yeah, I mean, Cottrell, he shouldn't have been brought in straight back with no football after such a long layoff, and the team playing well and no one in his position really needing to make way. It seemed bizarre when we did it, especially when a guy like Motlop had to come back and through the twos. I like that we've become that team that our new draftees and most of the players seem to have to really prove it before just breaking straight into this team. Unless you're playing poorly in the ones, there's no spot for you. And it just seems weird that we threw Cottrell straight back in. Unfortunately, he has had that opportunity, but hasn't taken it. He makes way. And I think Cunningham has been a player in that high half forward role that can pinch hit in the midfield if you need him to, rotate on the wing, almost play anywhere in that sort of front half. Is the form he's put together over the last month has been really, really solid. A good user of the ball. I think it ticks the box there. And then, yes, I've gotten Pito out of this team. A lot of the basis for what I was kind of wanting to address with all of this is, everyone is absolutely wanting Marchbank out of this team immediately. And I'll get to that. Settle down. I'll get there. But yeah, with this squad, I was really looking at what was working well when we were winning games of footy. So I almost went back and looked at the team that played Geelong and what alterations we need to make from that. And look, Pito wasn't there when we were playing well. I just want to get back to basics. I think Kennedy's still been playing well, so I don't want to drop him. And George Hewitt makes the most sense. So surprised he's not been in there the last few weeks. We need someone that's clean with picking up the ball from ground level, isn't going to fumble it, gets the hands out to the runners. So then guys like Walsh can be on the outside and get nice possession front of the contest. I absolutely love George Hewitt, and I'm not kicking him out of the team anytime soon. And then really the last change apart from that is Kennedy comes in from the sub and Chera comes out, and he's going to be the sub this week. I pretty much was going to drop Chera from the team completely. I think his form since coming back has been really, really poor. And I wonder if our midfield and what Vossi's tried to do was it an overreaction from Sydney from that game, thinking the midfield's too slow and he needs more players with a bit more movement around the contest that aren't, your George Hewitts and Matt Kennedys. Disagree with that. I think that's silly to do anyway. But right now, Chera's form doesn't warrant him to be in that team over anyone else. And I don't mind him as being that sub option to come on late with some legs to add to the midfield. And I don't trust that McGovern is fit, whether he's a test or not, to play this week. Having such a history of soft tissue injuries, not to be rude, and maybe I'll eat my words on this one, but we're only playing North Melbourne this week. They don't have massive key forwards. So Marchbank gets one more week, but I did think his game against the Dogs was incredibly poor. We just have no one else to bring in.
You know what? Spoiler chat. If you hate Marchbank, and I'm not a fan, you're going to hate my team then, because I kept him. We'll cover that together, because I think the chat are going to ask that question a lot. Did you think the same as me? Short turnaround, even if Matt McGovern gets up, bringing in Durden for a game and Lewis Young is counterproductive when Mitch McGovern is taking that spot as soon as he's fit. So my thought process was, keep Young getting some continuity in the reserves. Durden ain't playing for Carlton next year. Just keep Marchbank, because at least he's had the game. At least there is some kind of synergy, don't change it, because I would hate to bring Lewis Young in now or Durden, then you're getting rid of him the next week. And the players like, what the fuck's going on? Just keep Marchbank. He's the closest we've got to McGovern. And then bring McGovern against someone good like Port.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll go even harder if you want me to, in saying that if you think Marchbank is bad, my God, imagine Lewis Young or Durden getting thrown in. Like, Lewis Young, every time he comes in, like, he is a fine 10th replacement for a key defender in your squad, but when the ball's there to be won, he does not seem to be able to do it. If it's a simple one-on-one defense, then he's okay. But Marchbank, I still have head and shoulders above both Durden and Lewis Young. And at least Marchbank has a bit more movement to him. I know he's been really, really average this season since the last injury he's had, which there's been so many, it's hard to keep track. But like you say, he's at least got a bit of foot skill, and he's nowhere near a McGovern. And maybe this is the tough thing, to try and find that replacement. And maybe it's not just the tall defender. Do we have to find other avenues to release other players like a Cowan, like a Sard, like a Boyd, and almost, Moneyball it, try to replace McGovern with the aggregate, with different players, rather than just saying, okay, Marchbank, you play the exact McGovern role, because he's not that kind of player that marks and goes quick like McGovern and can spot a target and hit it to open the play up. So can Marchbank just cover his, defensive side, and we figure out who's actually taking over that sort of run and go? That's going to be an interesting thing to see. But yeah, I mean, Gov will come back when he's fit. The way Voss talked about it in the press conference after the game made me feel like there's no way he's going to be fit for this week. And if he's touch and go, we've got 6 weeks left before, finals, before the really, really important part begins of this season. I'd hate us to rush Gov back for this game and he does his hamstring or does something and then he's out for 12 months.
You see, my thought process the same as well, because I think Marchbank, and to go with Frank's point, he's still got talent. Like, he's just grossly out of form, and he has been in the VFL as well. Like, I was shocked. But my thought process, bit like you, Ian, Marchbank is definitely the next in best dressed.
Yeah.
Right? So give him as much senior game time as you can, because if this happens in a final, I'd hate to be playing an elimination final or something and one of them goes down and we're just guessing. Like, we're like, at least this way we can get a little bit of it. So I agree with you. My next question on this one, Ian, is you've gone fast half forwards, Elijah and Connors. That could be, I think, with the Harry Mackay there, the tastiest I've ever seen our half forward line. Would you say Cowan haven't played a traditional third target? We haven't really tried this method either, going really bold and industrious. Was there a part of you who felt Cottrell has been played on the wing last 2 weeks? It's looked horrible. This was where he made his name, wasn't it?
Yes.
Where Connors is on your team sheet, that's where Cottrell's really made his name. Are you surprised we haven't seen Cottrell here?
I mean, yes, because that's where I'd be. If I'm selecting Cottrell, it's to play the half forward role that he was so good at all of last season. When he's looked good this year, 2024, it's when he's been playing that high half forward and burning guys the other way and being another option inside 50. The way that Elijah Hollins has basically taken over that role where we're, sprinting through with ball in hand and all of a sudden you think we're going deep and Elijah Hollins is there, 40 out, takes a mark, goes back and slots it. That's what Cottrell was so good at as well. Surprising that he's played more of that wing role and we haven't seen him there. And yeah, I guess to answer your question, you could definitely keep him in the team and play him there. My more issue is I didn't feel like we should be rewarding guys that haven't played any football in the first place, like a Cottrell. And if you haven't performed in whatever task we've given you, then I'm not going to now shoehorn you into another position when there is someone banging down the door for selection. And that's why I've gone Cunningham over Cottrell, because he just needs some form. He needs some sort of match fitness and match sharpness before he's ready to come into a team that right now sits second on the ladder. We're not in a position to give you time in the ones. It's you're at 100% right now, or you're not playing. There's enough fit.
Mate, I love it. And last question on this team before we move on. Motlop. Is Motlop playing that full Zach Williams role? Is that the plan? Do you want him to be just there at the fall of the ball, make something happen?
I mean, this is another tough thing to answer. I want him to play the Motlop role, if this is the worst, most political way of answering your question, Pommy, because I know you normally hate it when I do that, and I do it quite often, to be honest. Lockie probably doesn't pull me up on it enough, but I think they are slightly different players. Zach Williams, he doesn't need to be that high movement player, and he's a bit taller, he's a bit better of a mark. So I don't know if Motlop playing that 100% same role works. Motlop, we've seen him at his best. I'm thinking, semi-final as well against Melbourne, when you need someone that just knows where the goals are, has that instinctive nature about him. That's Motlop. And if he needs to roam a little bit more, go higher up the ground, that's fine. I definitely want to keep him a little closer to goal, but I'd honestly rather always be a bit more of that marking target, a bit more of that Zach Williams role, because I think he kind of suits that a little bit better. Whereas maybe Motlop can have a bit more of a free role inside 50, just roaming and waiting to pounce on a loose ball.
Mate, no, I love it. I mean, I do like the fact in this team, would I be right in you want Connors to work a bit more up the ground like Z Will does? Like, he becomes that conduit and then just let Motlop kind of have free roam, just pop up where you want. Because I feel like we are missing. I was watching some highlights of Motlop last year, and he's so different, isn't he, to Zach Williams and Owies? Like, he can just make something happen out of nothing.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I think it's interesting. Like, as I said, I wanted to go back and see that team that played Geelong and then almost shoehorn the players that I think should be in that team that weren't then, and try not to be too reactive to it. And I normally go with a fair few amount of changes, but I feel like this is less reactive, more just going back to what worked well. And really, the team that I've got there, the only changes from what you're seeing on screen and the team that absolutely pumped Geelong is Zach Williams is out through injury, and Fantasia is out. And then also Corey Durden was the sub. He's out. And I've basically, thrown in a Chera as the sub. Motlop's in there, and, Cunningham. So I think, Motlop for Williams, Cunningham for Fantasia, Chera for Durden as the sub. Those are all improvements on what is working, and just to go back to the basics of what got this team to be playing its best football this year. I don't mind that we tinkered and we tried different things. I think this was the time of the year to do that. Learn everything you need to about this squad before finals. There's always that tough balancing act of there's tinkering and still winning, and then there's tinkering and losing form, and potentially we've just strayed away from a few little elements. But I mean, first and foremost, the midfield is the thing that really needs to stand up more than the forward line, in my opinion. The conceding that many points from centre bounces, that many points from stoppage and defensive 50 stoppages, if they can just sort out their structures and work rate, will be a 5 better defensive team, like 5 goal better team. It's insane.
Ian, I love it. Just the 3 changes. Return of Connors. Isn't that a sight for a sore eyes? Feels like a lifetime since he's been available, but I made the same changes as Ian with an exception. So Motlop came in, Connors came in, Hewitt came in. I dropped Ollie though.
No, don't like it.
I killed my boy.
You were absolutely slating me for doing that last week, and now what have you done? You've shot Bambi.
Yeah, your argument was so convincing.
It's like...
no, I mean, this is on the back of my video I did the other day about trying to find the best positions. And I looked at this and I was like, right, I tried to get in Voss's head and go, what is Voss's issue? What is Voss's issue? And I think you nailed it then when you said the Sydney game. I think Voss has that Sydney game in his head. And I looked back and I was like, it was Pitternet, Kennedy and Hewitt. And then if you watch that video, we went in at length to say that statistically speaking, under Voss, the most potent stoppage defence and offence with turnover game being good is this makeup. TDK, Hewitt, Kennedy, Cripps. That is the one that seems to work. So in this scenario here, I need one less winger. So I'm going to have to sell this because I sold it to myself. I'm going to sell it to you. The reason I sold it is I think he is best 22, but I think he's been played absolutely horrendously, and I want him to go back to VFL and play the role that Binns gets. Play that aggressive role, the more traditional winger, not swinging back to half-back flank. So what we've done in this team, Chera will take them minutes, right? Chera will take that half-back defensive wingman. I want to take you on a little journey. His statistical best game is 2021, where he split wing, half-back, and on the ball. And it is what made us buy him in that potent Fremantle midfield. Also, Walsh, 60-40 on the wing is his 30 Brownlow votes. So for the sake of this exercise, I'm looking at Ollie now to go and play in a more offensive role. We've covered it now defensively. Nick Newman swings back. Hewitt, no-brainer. We know I love Ollie, though. I'm sorry. If Ollie watches this, I love you. And then I want to see Connors. Connors, watching him in the VFL, has played that real defensive running. And I think that's what's turned me on the most about him. His defensive running has been exceptional. And you'll see Cottrell returns back to the half forward. So, like what I said with you, I'm not playing him on the wing. I want him back at half forward. I don't think the fitness is the issue. I think it's the touch. The ball never went down the left-hand side of the ground last week. So put him back there. I want his delivery inside 50, get it deep. And I want Connors playing that loose role that we saw Orazio Fantasia play, which I saw in the VFL. There, and everywhere. I think it's quick. I think it's defensively strong. And a bit like what Ian said, I looked at that Geelong game, and I think this is very similar makeup. And we've got some real strength in and around the ground here. And it's time to use Walsh and Chera like Chad Warner. Like, I want Chera to be used like Nick Dacos. Hide him out of the way. Bring him in when you're Donovan. Walsh, I want him pinching in the team. And that's the team. Not exciting.
I like it. I mean, apart from the fact that you basically, I guess, it's like the opening scene of Bambi, but Bambi shot his own mum is kind of what's happened here, unfortunately, Poppy, with you dropping Ollie. But I do like it. And have you kind of had Cottrell in there as well, just in case maybe a Chera-Walsh wing combination isn't working the whole time and maybe we're starting to get beaten in the midfield and you want them in there as well? Is that another thought process on why you've kept Cottrell in the team in the starting 22, just in case he does need to give some sort of wing cover?
Well, yeah. I mean, everyone who plays that runs 15Ks. So I think if I'm making Chera and Walsh rotate out there, I don't want them burning 10Ks of energy running up and down the wing. So looking at Sydney, who I think are the best side in the league at the moment at rotations, they're flinging 6 players out there on one wing. James Jordan's working the wing with Wixie and players like that on one wing. So for me, I want to see us rotate it, have them points of difference. And I think Cottrell is a natural half forward. Connor's there becoming our Zach Williams. So like we haven't changed much. Effectively, I've killed Pitternet, but that's basically the plan. I want freedom. I want these boys to play with more freedom. And last week, it felt like way too many players were trying to defend for Hewitt's absence and Kennedy. Put them back in and let aces take their course. And I want to see Walsh back on the wing. That 2021 Walsh makes this Walsh and last year's Walsh look average.
Yeah, well, I mean, I find it weird with the whole Chera thing that he basically was meant to replace George Hewitt, and it seems as if that's really setting a guy like Chera up to fail. That's not playing to his strength. That's not getting the best out of him for a guy that's also coming back from injury and needs a bit of that match sharpness to then play a role that I don't think is the best position for him. So allowing him to split it and not be at the coalface the whole time is probably a good thing. And using his strengths, like you are trying to do with Walsh as well, out there on the wing, these guys with ball in hand, out in distance, running, this is what they're best at. If it leads to it just being the big midfield bulls in the middle to make that happen, that's absolutely fine. And I think the reason I kept Ollie this week was I don't think he's been as bad as everyone has been stating, or what I'm seeing, where almost every single post on Twitter that's doing their own sort of team selection has said, needs a rest, get rid of him. And I know I was saying that a few weeks, so maybe it is hypocritical, but I've tried to then take a bit of a deeper look the last few games, and I kind of still think he's playing some decent football. So I don't think it's a need a rest kind of thing. But if taking him out of this team allows, Walsh to get minutes there, Chera to get minutes, and us actually play better football for it, then why not try it? I mean, Walsh going to the wing, it feels like a McCluggage on the wing move with Brisbane, who's just got so many different midfielders. And if you need him to have his time at a CBA, of course he's going to be there for it. So this is the time to just tinker with a few little things, and at least this time we're tinkering with stuff that we've seen work previously, like you're bringing with all that evidence.
Yeah, I mean, that was my thought process, do you know what I mean? And to answer your question, the sub in this scenario would probably be Connors, because I think if Carlton, the way I'd sell this to Voss would be, you obviously are worried Kennedy and Hewitt are too slow for 95% of the game. So if the game we get ascendancy, shelve one, bring Connors on, stretch the game when the game gets tired. But I think that's what Voss is trying to do with Pitternet, and I don't think it works because of his lack of reliability around the ground. He's trying to tire the team out. So go back to basics, tire them out with the balls, and then if we spurt Walsh, Cunningham, Chera on the ball when they're fresh, and that's what you see. You see it with, go and watch Sydney, when they spurt players on the ball, they did it to us. Do you know what I mean? Golden came on the ball for 5 minutes, having had easy touches on the wing, and he looked 10 times quicker and sharper than everyone else. And they just used James Rowbottom all day as the George Hewitt. He just sits there, tackles, grinds you down, bores you out, and every 5 seconds they have a new rotation. And I feel that's what Voss is missing. I feel like it's staring him in the face, and the way to do it is use the players that have played there. People forget. Halfback flank, Cherry used to play that role his entire career. Wing, Walsh was doing that. Look at the good players now. Sheasel, playing halfback, then going on the ball. Nick Dacos. It's the modern day to have burst players. We've got 2 of the best burst players in the league who were wasting 95% of the time trying to play George Hewitt's role, and it's not their job.
Yeah. No, I mean, 100%. And the whole slow midfield thing, I just get more almost frustrated with it the more time goes on. If you get the ball, which is what this midfield makeup is meant to be doing, that you've chucked out there, then you're going to look fast with it. You look slow when you're not winning the football. And I tell you what, we brought in Chera, for the last few weeks, and the midfields look slow. And he's meant to enhance that because he's getting sucked into the contest. We're not getting our hands on it first. We're fumbly. If I saw, I think I tweeted at the time, like if I saw Chera flat-footed getting sucked into the contest and just letting Ed Richards run straight past him one more time, ball watching at a contest, I was going to scream. It was just so frustrating. And if he can do that on the outside and not have to be that impact winning that hardball player, then maybe that's the mix we need. And if you win the football and you've got it in your hands, you're not going to be looking slow.
And I want to see Boyd use Sard like Bailey Dale. So I want Akers to come back to halfback like he does to protect them. And I want Boyd to look up and see Chera's making a run on the edge of the 50. Walsh is making a run on the switch. Or he's got a handball over the top for Newman to break lines. And then suddenly Chera and Walsh are running with Sard, which I feel we don't use Sard properly at all. And I feel like that's our biggest weapon that is staring us in the face. And because we move Ollie and everyone down back behind the ball, Sard suddenly has no space to take off. And I'm trying to manufacture that too, because I feel like that's the next layer. With the number one turnover side in the league, number one defensive half. We could be better, though, because Saad isn't killing anyone.
Well, that's what's crazy. You just look at the last game against the Doggies, and when was the last time we had a defensive player like Bailey Dale play that game, where every time they've got the ball, it's just tuck the ball under and run and get some leg speed and take the game on. We've got some of the best players at doing that. We've got Saad that can do it. Boyd, he can play that role as well. I know Cowan was able to do it at under 18s. We've got weapons. We don't seem to be able to use them from the back half. It's interesting. I don't know why it isn't seemingly working. Is opposition just putting a lot of work into a guy like Saad? Are we playing him in a slightly more defensive role because he is so good at that as well? I don't know what the answer is, but I agree with you. We need to get more out of him and use him as that offensive weapon, especially for, this week. If McGovern, we're both saying isn't right, give him one more week. We need someone to replace that just quick fire ball movement. If we can replace that with Saad running an extra 10, 15 meters every time he gets it and then delivering to someone into the corridor, I think that's perfect.
I'm telling you, chat, that team there's flaggers. It's flaggers. Absolute flaggers. Right, let's do it. So we've had to save Ollie Lord because of our friend Paul. But we'll start with the back line. We'll do one each and then we'll agree on one. And then chat, you get three. Ian, back line. Who you saving?
Oh, this is very, very tough. I'm going to go very controversial because I think everyone's going to get rid of him. And I'm doing this out of, preserving McGovern. So Marchbank's in the team.
Yeah, you know what? Like, chat, you can trust
me
because
from ourselves.
Yeah, chat, you can trust me because I haven't been a fan of Marchbank.
Oh, me either.
I don't want to see McGovern play on a 5-day turnaround. Like,
he's not the one to do it.
So I'm with you. Like, if this was a good team, bring him back. But this is North. We should have enough in our back line to save him.
A guy I'll just say that, like, a guy like McGovern is the last person I feel confident about. If I'm standing there being like, he has to pass this fitness test, this running test just to play this week, I'm like, what are we doing here? It shouldn't have to get to this. Let's not worry about it. Do it next week.
Mate, I'm with you. I am saving Brodie Kemp with my selection. Shall we make it easy for chat and just save Whittaker in?
Oh, absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, chat. You need 3 midfielders from these 3 defenders from these names, right? Akers, Boyd, Chera, Chincotta, Cottrell, Cowan, Cripps, Cunningham, Kerner, Elijah, Fogarty, Hewitt, Hollands, Kennedy, Mr. Lord, Mackay, Motlop, Newman, Owis. Oh, wait, we've already saved Lord. Motlop, Newman, Owis, Saad, TDK, and Walsh. So,
what is the chat up to? What are we getting?
Let's have a look. Saad, Boyd, Newman. Boyd's Cowan, Saad. Akers, Cripps, Kerner. Hey, might as well. Saad, Boyd, Cowan. Cowan, Boyd, Newman. So, by my count, Saad is
Boyd
safe.
And Saad, definitely, I reckon.
I think Cowan's stuck it.
I think he might have. There was a lot of Cowan throughout that whole votes now.
Hey, tell you what, Beautiful. I agree as well.
Moose
Someone in chat, Shannon, Cowan's indispensable. I agree. I think Cowan is. I wouldn't be surprised to see Cowan probably high up on that whole resume of Vossi. So there we are. Look, tell you what, already that backline looks aggressive.
It is, and I love it. And like Boyd had probably the worst game he's ever played for us against the Doggies. There's no way he's going to do that again this week.
Mate, I agree. He's going to have this is the game to play someone into form, isn't it, really? Let's be honest.
Yeah, agreed.
Your midfielders and followers.
It has to be George Hewitt back into this team. Easy lock.
There we are. He'll be happy. He'll be happy. You know what? Walsh is going on that wing.
On the wing. Love it.
Who shall we save as a duo?
Oh, I want to go. Oh, I don't know. Well, should we just go the simple man in Blake Acres?
Okay, we'll fix wings. Chat, we fix wings for you. Wings are sorted.
Solved
So,
it.
chat, you need a centre man and one follower and one ruck. So your names you need 2 inside mids and a ruck. Chera, Chincotta, Cottrell, Cripps, Cunningham, Kerner, Elijah, Fogarty, Hollands, Kennedy, Mackay, Motlop, Newman, Owis, and TDK. So throw your names in. Terry and Pom. I'd hope we're good enough to beat this side with me in there.
Man, I'm glad they didn't ask for me to be in there because I would tear something within 5 minutes. I wouldn't get through the warm-up, to be honest.
To be fair, I wouldn't mind playing Cottrell's job because I'm trying to lose a bit of weight. So running 15Ks on 6 figures sounds like a pretty good deal.
Mate, if non-supporters don't like, poor Martin getting injured all the time, they would not be wanting to see me out there, I tell you what.
Tell you what, you know what, chat? Chera.
Ooh, Chera.
Saved Chera.
Saved. I cannot believe this. There you
Chat,
go.
no football.
What a love for Ches.
Chat, no football. Chera will come good. Chera will come good. Chera, honestly, he's too good not to.
At his best.
Did anyone see Daniel Hines' article today as well, saying that he'd pinpointed Carlton's horrific form on Chincotta being in the team?
Oh, no. Oh, no. There you go.
Absolutely. And I was like, I reckon Dan Hoyne drinks with Chera with that question.
He's got to have that cork board with all the stats, but he doesn't know what to actually do with them all. So he's just linking up things, getting the string all together, and he's like, hang on a minute. It's Chincotta. He's the one. He's the one that's the problem. He's got it's the interpretation of the stats sometimes is doesn't go too well.
I just found it truly bizarre that he was talking about stoppage defense and then he was like, it's Chincotta. And I'm like, okay, cheers, mate. Forwards, who are we saving?
Ooh, out of all of these, give me Cunners on the half forward line.
To be fair, I did really like your half forward line. Like when I saw it on paper, it's amazing when you see it on paper how it just turns you on a little bit. You know what? I kind of want to replicate it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put Elijah there. Because I reckon that Elijah Cunningham half forward line might be the best in the league. Who we agreeing on? Who we're saving?
Ooh, out of all those, I'm going to... do you want to go a guy I probably don't give enough love to in Matty Owis?
Yeah, let's do it.
What are you thinking? There you go.
There you are. Because he's got the 2 best players kicking to him, hasn't he?
Exactly.
Cunners and Hollands feeding him.
God, him in the first 5 minutes. Talk about sending a message about making me the sub the week before. My goodness.
There we are. Well, chat, you've got forwards. You need 2 keys, which might make it easier, and 1 forward pocket. You've got Chincotta, Cottrell, Kerner, Fogarty, Hollands, Kennedy, and Motlop and Newman. But obviously we'll save Newman on the old pine. But it looks like Charlie Mott's Harry, Hadj, Charlie Mott's. Looks like we're going to have a season debut.
Huge.
Finally.
It's caused him a lot of issues this year, apparently.
You know what, though? I am excited about seeing Motlop back. I don't know why. I don't usually get excited, but I am actually excited about seeing that guy back.
Oh, absolutely. He's electric when he gets there. He's the one that I think it's something we have missed of. You just need a goal from somewhere, and it's the half chances where he makes that magic happen that I absolutely love from Motlop. And it's another year in. Maybe hasn't had the perfect conditioning leading up to it, but he's going to be raring to go. That's for certain.
Mate, no, I agree with you. I think he's going to be hungry. And I think that extra game, I think him not coming in the week before, I always like an extra game. 1 more game than you probably deserve. We're on the bench. So Cooper Lord, Paul demanded we debuted.
He's in.
So he's there. So we'll do one each, and you chat can have two. Who are we saving?
I am going to make it interesting. So I'm going to pick Nick Newman.
Nick Newman. There he is. Well, I'm going to help us out. We're going to have the tag. Pom Cotter.
This could go anywhere. I love this.
So here you are, chat. You've got the hard job, right? You are literally Voss, right? Are you going to save? You need to save two names. Cottrell, Fogarty, Hollands, and Kennedy.
And that's Ollie Hollands for those that need that little bit of clarification. And this is going to be spicy. Save two, chat. And who's it going to be? Plenty of Fogarty. Bam Bam's getting a lot of love.
You know
simple
what?
stuff. The chat's aligned. Can't believe it.
How can we pick a team better than the selection table,
mate? Get us in that boardroom.
Like,
get us with the PowerPoint slide with the presentation. Could you imagine the scenes? Us storming into the Icon Park.
We should do it. Honestly, if they ever make me chairman of Carlton Football Club, I promise we will just do this on a stream to pick the team.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have it as the real team. This will be the real team. You know what scares me, though, and it's hurt me since last week, is when we didn't start Kennedy and I saw this gentleman start on the ball.
Yeah, I couldn't. That was the biggest mistake for me. As soon as the game started, I was like, okay, Kennedy's the sub. Hang on, Hewitt's not playing. What does that mean for the midfield? And then, as soon as you start dragging him up there, no wonder, we've had, 5 inside 50 tackles for the game, beating our worst total by 1. Like, it's just... It hurt the structure, I think. I think we pulled too much from everywhere to try something different, which I don't begrudge Vossi attempting something, but made too many other issues.
It was the one that killed me, that, because I just think this is not something that you'd practice. Like it wasn't really a question I wanted answered, and I'm trying to, still to this day, trying to work out what Voss thought would happen.
Yeah. I would have preferred, weirdly, just Chincotta playing a freer role in the guts rather than moving Fogarty and him not having a tagging role, if that's what you wanted, if you needed an extra midfielder. And I mean, I forgot to actually mention this. I want to ask you the question as far as Ollie Hollands. Maybe it's too late anyway because we've dropped him. But as far as maybe it works for the Walsh conversation in particular in getting the best out of Ollie right now this season. Played so well last year. And he had a bit of relief there with the Doherty covering some minutes on the wing, a bit of a bigger body to take a little bit of the stress off in that area. Is that something that if he does come back in, Ollie Hollands, and when he does make his return in our team, is having Walsh there or having someone else, a little bit of a stronger player, do you think that that's something that gets the best out of an Ollie Hollands rather than him maybe just taking that wing as his own?
I think I'd like to rotate him off it. I agree with you. I think he does such a wonderful job when he rotates at halfback. But I think you notice his biggest weakness is he's built like a child. So it works, and he does a wonderful job at Nick Newman's form. Is all down to Ollie Hollands. It's all down to it. That aggressive stats. It's Ollie Hollands. But I just think... I always look at wingers and how they're developed. And you look at Josh Dacos, they gave him a wing when he was at Collingwood, and they protected him. Do you know what I mean? So it was literally, you go on, kick it inside 50, and then they'd put Nick Newman behind him. And they used to play side bottom in his first year at half forward, and then he'd do what Ollie does and our team, but he'd do it and hide behind the wing to protect him. I would love to see Ollie Hollands be given that luxury and say, just go forward, mate. You've proved the defence to us, but let's see you. Let's get you involved. I'm with you. I think it's a waste. And then when I watch Binns in VFL get 30 of the easiest touches in the world, I'm like, what are you training Binns for? Because Binns ain't getting that job in the AFL.
No, 100%, 100%. Like, why not test different things out? And while he is still young and developing, I think the hard thing for Ollie is he's been so good defensively. He's probably made himself have to play that role because of what he can do. But yeah, I don't mind us tinkering with that a little bit and trying to get the best out of it. But I think this is potentially one of the best teams that we've concocted all season, to be honest.
Mate, I like it. I mean, add McGovern there, should he be fit.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? You know what? I do think Paul got excited. I reckon that's Ollie Hollands. I wouldn't mind to see Ollie Hollands on the bench.
Even as the sub, to be honest. That's not a bad sub to come on if he needs a little bit of a rest and some motivation.
And give him the Cottrell Sydney game sub, where he comes on 10 minutes to go, just run at everyone and have a bit of fun. I'd love Ollie to have a bit of fun. Like a game where there's no defensive responsibility. We're just like, show the form. Because I always say this, and I love the fact Cal Toomey had Ben Camporelli outside of the 30. Because
it's
I'll
good
say
for us.
this. Yeah,
I'm happy to match a pick back there.
Yeah, but Ollie Hollands superior to Ben Camporelli in every way in his draft in the wing. And there's a reason he was picked 10, right? His offense was like, everyone watching Ben Camporelli now, that's what you used to watch. Like, that's what Ollie was. He used to beat players. He used to kick deep. He used to pinch it on the ball and make magic happen. I'd love him to get one AFL game where we're like, be Ollie from juniors. Just, you get the ball, mate, and we'll defend. We'll defend for you. You just go and have fun. Because I reckon you'd be shocked at how good he is. Like, really shocked.
No, I love it, Pommy.
Well, Ian, what are you doing for the rest of the week?
Yes, well, I am currently live on Blue Abroad, started at 8 p.m. So once this wraps up, feel free to head over there and watch the Navy Blue Corner preview show for the North Melbourne game building up. And Lockie's back with me, which is great. So definitely tune into that afterwards. And then, yes, basically just doing the double episode every single week. So on probably going to be a Monday night this week, doing a review show on our own YouTube channel and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And then again on the Wednesday night on Blue Abroad for the preview show. So the review and previews they're coming in quick and fast these days, and it's only going to get bigger and better from here on out. 6 games to go for the regular season.
Mate, it's the worst week for people who are content creators because we literally have like a 5-day break. So so that's even less in content time. That's like a 2-day turnaround to get your week's content out. I fucking hate them, but the link is in the description to do that. I've got a Sam Walsh exclusive video coming up this week. It should be released tomorrow, purely on the numbers behind Sam Walsh and what's the best version of Walsh and the rumours about him playing on the wing. There's the VFL wrap that comes out, I think, tomorrow afternoon. There's the only draft experts in the world who will release their entire order this week. We've just correlated the data from the end of the national champs. So you got a video last week. That'll be updated this week with the updated thing. Now we've got all their data. And then I'll be back for the watch along. Carlton versus North, which should be a 100-pointer. But thank you very much to everyone. Bevtone in chat who donated 5 memberships. You're a legend. Look after yourself, everyone. We'll see you next week. Go Blues.
Go Blues.